Hello everyone, I'm here with, once again, DukeAloops1993.
It was all a lie.
And, finally, once again, Dan Torrey, aka Torreygnr1.
Hi, everybody.
Yes, Duke and I laid siege to the Cap Spawn fortress and broke him out of the computer.
Yeah, I hate to spoil this, but Dan's secretly hidden in a cave the whole show.
It's terrible in there.
I have to read all the other Spawn comics.
I have to proofread Spawn for Cap.
I don't have to just read Spawn. It's all like early 90s Image stuff, so I have to read like Youngblood and all of that kind of stuff. It's terrible.
Yeah, Doomsman's accidentally ordered like all of it and only interested in Spawn.
He just went on an eBay auction that said all of Image, and he bought it.
All your Image belong to us.
Yeah, but then you realize, oh wait, Spawn's not in all of these. I know, I'll let that Tory guy read it.
It's going to be the soon-to-be tie-in event, Image Year for Tor. It's going to be Image Month for him.
It's going to be called the Rest of Image Eternity.
I don't know, seeing as how often a lot of that got delayed, Savage Dragon might be the only one you have to worry about.
God.
Anywho, we're here since we're going to do what is known as a video response, ladies and gentlemen, to our good friends Shades at Night and Coolio Vids 101. They recently
I hate them both!
They recently did a video talking about their favorite cast picks for Marvel and DC movies, the villains, because there's this thing going on in DC right now called Forever Evil, I think, or, you know, Forever Bad, or just temporarily mean.
You gotta see it.
The villains have to team up to defeat the evil machine empire on the moon wave.
You gotta say it like the Super Friends announcer. You have to be like, Forever Evil!
Okay. It is known as an event called Forever Evil.
Yeah, there you go.
Meanwhile, at Legion of Doom...
Like Solomon Grundy.
Meanwhile, at Dan Didio's office.
I have a goatee.
Is Legion, like, they're all, like, all the members are dressed up as Legion of Doom members, like, we've got Scott Snyder as the Joker.
We've got Luthor down.
Yeah.
John just dressed like Sinestro and Black Manta.
Oh, that would be great.
And you've got Scott Snyder as the Joker, and Jim Lee is Gorilla Grodd.
Yes, why not?
Wearing a gorilla suit.
With a helmet on it.
I'm Gorilla Grodd. Seriously.
Jim, why are you Gorilla Grodd? I don't know.
I wanted to be Gorilla Grodd, okay?
Have you ever drawn the Flash? Shut up!
It looked like fun. Quit judging me.
Anyway, so what are we doing in this video again?
Oh yeah, we have a point to this video. So this is a video response that me, Dan, and Duke wanted to do, talking about our top 5 favorite villain picks for movies. Our top 5 favorite casts for villains in the Marvel and
specifically. We're not just doing movie villains in general. That's too hard.
Yeah. And also, if you're wondering, before we go any further, if you're wondering why I'm using a picture of a bunch of Masters of Evil, and then I'm going to use the Forever Evil #1 picture instead of using movie pictures, I was lazy. I had a moment of laziness. Get off my back. You're just here to listen to us talk anyway, so... Because we say fun things.
Put a picture of a cat being scared at television and fine.
Yeah, we say fun things anyway. You'll be entertained by the sound of our sexy, sexy voices.
Yes.
Hey ladies, how's it going?
Welcome to Villain Month.
God, it's almost 4 minutes. We're almost 5 minutes in, and we've accomplished nothing. That's a new record.
Welcome to DukeAloops Radio, where we play all the smooth hits. Okay, I got that.
Alright, so,
what's the rotation, boys? Who wants to go first, second, and third?
I'll go first.
And then we'll go second, and I'll go last.
Alright.
Done deal.
Alright. My number 5 pick My number 5 pick is from a movie that a lot of people... And we're going to start with Marvel, obviously, so...
Because Marvel rules!
Yeah, it's Marvel, your universe. But no, my number 5 pick is actually... It is actually, believe it or not, it is going to be from a movie that not a lot of people they seem to just kind of glance over. It's a little movie called X-Men 2. It's not the biggest X-Men. I'm kidding. It's my favorite of the X-Men movies. It's Brian Cox as General Stryker. I really like what Bryan Singer did with the idea of this character that was originally... Most people don't know this, and even I didn't know this until like 3 years ago, that the character of William Stryker was a priest in the comics in God Love Man Kills, and in here, Bryan Singer decided, you know what, I'm going to make him a military general, and it actually works. This is one of the few times where I actually like this character over the original character. Not to say the story was bad, because, let's face it, X-Men 2 was a pretty big adaptation of God Loves Man Kills, and I say Singer got the core of it down.
Yeah, he hit all the thematic beats well, I think.
Yeah, and Brian Cox does an amazing job with this character. He can be cold, he can be sinister, but the main thing is that Stryker reminds us in this film franchise that humans are the biggest enemy to all mutants. And what I like about it also is that he doesn't treat this like, I'm going to destroy the world. He, honest to God, believes that he's doing the right thing. And that's what kind of makes him dangerous. And he doesn't look at this like, I'm going to destroy the world and rule over it, ha ha ha. It's more like, no, I'm going to do this for all mankind so we can be safer. And he looks at it like a strategic... he looks at it like a war plan. And that's what I like about how he plays it off. He plays it off kind of like a guy playing chess at some points.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the great thing about that change in the character, too, is, like, the X-Men have always sort of been about civil rights and fighting against the status quo and the establishment. There's nothing more representative of that in the modern day than the military-industrial complex. And having that guy be a representation of all that stuff is a really, really good idea, I think.
Yeah. And what I like about this, and Coolio brought this up in his video, is that Brian Cox, you can clearly tell in the movie that he's having fun with this. Even in the bloopers, he's having fun with this film, and he plays it off very well. He can be very cold. I mean, at first glance, he does not look very threatening, but then when he gets more into the backstory, he's kind of a guy you just don't want to fuck with.
He's a terrible man. One of the worst human beings.
Yeah.
That you can think of, you know.
Exactly, and especially when they reveal what he does to his own son, making him a weapon.
Yeah, anybody is dispensable in the name of the cause in his eyes, and that's exactly how the character was in the comic book too. He was just a religious zealot instead.
Yeah, I think you mentioned how in the book he's a priest, but in the movie he's a military thing. I think that adaptation's a tough thing to do, but I think if you have the core down, like if you have the skeleton and the core of it down, you could change like the meat on it.
Exactly.
The meat of the story can be different as long as you know the meat doesn't taste rotten or something like that. I ate at a deli today, so beware of any food puns I make. Oh man, that guy's so cheesy. Anyway, and that's why I have a little bit of faith a good amount of faith in the Days of Future Past, because I'm sure we're not going to get a 100% translated from panels adaptation, but I'm really hopeful that the core of it's going to be the same of the original Days of Future Past story. Because here, it's an adaptation, but again, like I said, the meat's different, but the core's still there.
And I think that's what we got with X-Men First Class as well. So hopefully, if they can keep it consistent with 2 and First Class, then but in terms of like hitting the same thematic beats and the same character beats, just getting there in different ways. Which I don't mind, because as a comic book fan, sometimes it gets a little tiresome knowing everything that I'm going to see coming.
Yeah, and it is like with Brian Cox is again he does not look like very physically imposing or whatever. With a lot of these villains in these superhero films, is that they play physically imposing characters or mentally imposing. With Brian Cox, he's just a fat guy. He's really fat and he's kind of short and he's very soft spoken and he's one of the most horrible people you'll ever meet in your life.
Yeah, the way he plays the role, he just has a presence when he enters the room, even though his physical, stature and the way he speaks isn't necessarily imposing, like you said. But I think your pick is so well chosen because that's just a testament to his performance. That a guy can take a character like that and make him have a presence that's so strong and noticeable on the screen.
Yeah. So, there's my pick for number 5. What is your number 5, Dan? Wait, it's Duke.
My number pick is number 5. It's very, very... I'm absolutely sure that it deserves to be on this list. That's right, gentlemen. I do believe that the guy who played Juggernaut is one of the greatest... Oh! Shades, quit choking me! Thank you. Okay, that joke was totally worth it. No. My number 5 is Obadiah Stane.
Oh, good choice.
Part of it, admittedly, comes from the fact that I just love Bridges' performance.
This is always enjoyable.
Yeah, and plus the character, I still because I didn't know much about Iron Man, so I was actually kind of taken by surprise that he was the villain the whole time, and it made sense.
Right.
They could have just made those terrorists the villain and kind of made it... They could have still done a good story out of that, but it was a good twist to make someone that Tony kind of trusted and didn't think twice about and make him evil. But I also love the fact that he comes off like a really fun-loving guy. Come on, Tony, I'm your friend. Come on. I got your pizza, and I'm playing on your piano.
And again, I think that stems from Bridges' performance, like you said, and it's just fun to watch Jeff Bridges in anything. And
yeah, except for maybe that movie Cap and Eric did on Netflix Roulette. They made it sound miserable, but no. But I'll admit, a lot of my love does go to the performance, but I still think the character's written solidly.
yeah.
But because like I said, he's that fun-loving guy at first, but once he makes that turn to evil, he's terrifying.
He is.
Yeah.
He flat out, if that little robot arm wasn't around, Tony would have been dead. He takes the one thing that would have killed him and tries to use it against him. He basically if he could, he would lobotomize Tony's brain and then force it to do whatever the hell he wanted to. Because he's not smart enough to do it, but he has enough street smarts to manipulate people to do it for him.
Yeah. With a box of scraps! Sorry.
I was wondering how long it would take one of us to do that.
Yeah,
I was going to end it if we weren't going to.
What I like about Bridges' performance in that movie so much is the front that he puts up with people, like you said, where he's typical kind of Jeff Bridges on the surface. He's fun-loving and charismatic, sort of like how Tony is. Tony's like that because he doesn't have a filter, which is interesting, but that's the person that Obadiah Stane pretends to be, where he's really just this really despicable, evil person on the surface. And I always found characters like that to be sort of interesting.
And plus, you can apply that to just how businessmen might be.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's how a whole lot.
You hear those stories about how they're just the most unbearable people, and they treat all their coworkers and people who work on it like shit. But then say they I'm here to reveal our new car, and they're trying to be fun loving and get the audience going.
Right. Exactly.
There's a public image and a private image, and I don't know if that's intentional, but that's that was sort of that idea taken to its extreme.
Yes.
We're looking at his public image, that he shows to everybody until the end, where he gets into an awesome robot suit and crushes things, and shows us what love is.
What is love?
Not that version of love. I want to know what love is. You're welcome, Shades. Also, Coolio's messaging me right now. Would it be hilarious if we brought him in and he just listened to our pick?
His video response?
He'd be
I'm
flattered.
not against that idea, by the way.
Oh God. Is there anything else you want to say about Stain?
No, I want to keep it short and sweet. I think he's a lot of fun, and I think he's very menacing towards the end.
All right. Dan, what is yours?
My number 5 was a interesting choice because I knew that I wanted to put one of the Daredevil villains at number 5 because I think they're really well cast. And I ended up going with Michael Clark Duncan as the Kingpin because I think he played the Kingpin very well in what he was, the character that was in the script here. He's a little bit different than the comic book Kingpin in that he has a little bit more of an urban background. He's not as much of a fat cat Wall Street aristocrat as he used to be. He's kind of like a guy that worked his way up and is sort of a criminal at his core, and that's why he's so good at running crime in the city. And I'm fine with that. That works for me. I liked the character that he played in the movie in that way very well. But I think he had the presence and the physicality of the Kingpin very well down pat in his performance. I really liked that about it. And he's just a really intimidating figure for all the right reasons. He's physically imposing, but he's also very devious and conniving and manipulative, and he's very good at what he does, and he always seems to be 3 steps ahead of everybody, and that's what I want the Kingpin to be. So
yeah, it just makes me. It's funny because I watched that movie 2 weeks ago, and I rewatched it again. I was like, oh man, it is just even sadder to see that you're gone, Mr. Duncan.
Oh, I know, and he seemed like he was having a ton of fun playing that role, and I wish that the theatrical cut had come out in theaters, and maybe it would have been received a little bit well, and they could have made a sequel.
You mean the director's cut?
Yeah, that's what I got to say. The director's cut was released in theaters, the real theatrical version, what it should have been.
The real movie.
Yeah, the movie with the plot in it.
Yeah.
I wish that was out in theaters, and then they could have, gotten a little bit better reception and hopefully made a little bit more money, so they could have warranted a sequel, and he could have played the role again, because I feel like he had a lot of fun playing it, but, whatever. What we got was great, and I'll always, appreciate him for that.
Yeah. So my number 4 pick is Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull.
I can't,
Actually, that's my number 4 too, so you and me could have fun with this.
So, you are not failing!
Woo!
I love having friends. Yeah, Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull. Now, as much as it kind of upsets me that that Hugo Weaving's now said that he hated being the Red Skull.
He appears to just hate doing all those kinds of roles now for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm really confused by what. I want to know what the programming that the aliens did to this new Hugo Weaving replacement.
Yeah,
Hugh takes all the roles he can get like that.
Yeah, Hugh.2.
I'm just imagining that Robot Chicken sketch where we found out Michael Jackson was replaced. But with Hugo Weaving. And he's still in the Red Skull suit, so he looks at the evil clone and says, "You're failing!" Anyway, talk.
Yeah, this is another character where Hugo Weaving plays off Red Skull. He just plays Red Skull to a T, just playing this not really cartoony Red Skull, except the "you are failing" part, but he just plays a very diabolical character. I mean, I'd sometimes enjoy villains when they're just evil, I don't need a sympathetic backstory, I just need them to be total bastards sometimes. And he plays the Red Skull I know in the comics, and he also, even when he's not wearing the Red Skull makeup, and he's just regular Hugo Weaving, he's terrifying even then.
I still arguably say, the part where you see his mask sort of, offset, and you start seeing part of the skull is actually the creepiest image.
Yeah. But yeah, he played...
Also, it's good to have a Red Skull who doesn't sound Italian.
That too. He just plays off this very violent, you don't know what he's going to do type character, and I think they casted Hugo Weaving. It was a great cast on their part for this character. And
I hope Marvel can drum up the money to make him forget his stupid words.
If give him a good enough script, I have a feeling he'd come back.
Hopefully.
I know. We could just adapt Captain America Reborn. Oh, no, don't do that.
We'll adapt
Not because it's necessarily terrible, but because it's really confusing.
Yeah. But...
Oh my god, my phone went off.
Yeah, again, this is a character... He plays this character that can be Captain America's total opposite of, Steve Rogers, who is this very heroic, very... I care about more other people than my own needs, that kind of thing. He plays a great opposite to him. And how he plays off the other characters is very well done. But, yeah, I could go on and on about Weaving's performance as Red Skull. What about you, Duke?
Basically what you said. Sometimes you just want a villain who's there to be scary. And he does that. And you also want a villain who feels like though you might guess, they're going to get away, you do come out with the feeling that, oh god, he might destroy them. He doesn't seem like I'm here and I'm going to monologue and be all distracted. No, if it wasn't for conveniences possibly, he would probably kill everybody. He just feels like the character. Mind you, my main view of him is what little I've seen of him in the Brubaker one. I've read most of that, but I think he does it fine. He basically just kind of plays him as a slightly exaggerated version of Hitler. Of just that. Like, if he didn't have super laser beams and a cosmic cube, he'd probably just fit it fine in a regular Nazi movie.
Yeah. So I guess that's everything Duke and I have for our number 4. What is your number 3? Number 4, Dan.
My number 4 is Tom Hiddleston as Loki, the god of mischief from Thor and the Avengers, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Loki has been one of my favorite comic book supervillains for a long time, because I like Thor quite a bit. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters. And when I saw the Thor movie, he was probably my favorite thing about it, simply because he was so well cast in that role. He's just everything that I want to see in Loki. He's arrogant. He's got a superiority complex, but at his core, he's just really insecure about who he is, and but at the same time, he's also really charming. So you can't help but really like the guy, and that he's tortured, and you can see where he's coming from at a lot of points. He's just really good at playing this character that's sympathetic but pure evil at the same time. That beautiful contradiction. Like, it's not like Magneto, where you can see where he's coming from, but he's just going about achieving his goals the wrong way. Like, Loki is pretty evil, but you can't help but find something to like about him a lot of the time. And Hiddleston has that charisma down very, very well. I love that in his performance. I am just a huge fan of that casting. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been really good with casting, but I think Hiddleston may be one of, if not the best, casting choice they've made so far.
Yeah, and he loves being in the movie, so that's a plus. And I remember, like, there was a letter Tom Hiddleston sent to Karen Gillan when he was doing Journey into Mystery, thanking him for doing such a great job on Loki.
I want to read that series, and not just because Hiddleston wrote that in and said that, but now that I know that he has such a high appreciation for it, it definitely makes me want to seek it out.
Actually, Dan, I want to see someone who is motivated by that idea of Hiddleston writing in, but then I want Tom Hiddleston to write in, like, I enjoy eating at this White Castle. And then have that guy go, I guess if he liked it, I gotta go there.
This White Castle made the best Loki burger I've ever eaten.
I feel so...
Yeah,
It has corns and everything.
It's called the Loki'd.
It's called the Loki, yeah. Yes, oh god.
Alright, so number 3s.
My number 3 is actually, and this one, man, it was so hard for me to pick this one, because it's the same character, but it was played by 2 different actors. And I think they both did a great job, but I just gotta agree with what Kirk said. Michael Fassbender is Magneto.
That's my number 3 too.
Michael Fassbender is Magneto. I mean, no disrespect to Sir Ian McKellen for playing a fantastic Magneto.
Oh yeah, no doubt, he's great.
And again, it was really difficult for me to pick one of the two.
Same for me. I just go with Fassbender because he's more of the Magneto of the current comics, and I like that character quite a bit.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I had to pause for a second to ask a question. We're on number 3, right? What do you guys pick?
We picked Michael Fassbender Magneto.
As your both of you?
Yes.
Fuck, so did I.
Wow. So I guess we're all going to be talking...
folks.
So I guess we're all going to be basking in the Fassbender.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's the thing, like, you were saying, Dan?
He just is more of, like, the Magneto of the current comic books that I really like. Like, Ian McKellen's sort of, like... It started out as, like, old school supervillain Magneto, where he, at least in the first movie, where you could see where he's coming from, but he was really like the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants kind of guy, where he's like, look at all the evil stuff I'm doing. Whereas, like, Fassbender, I like that we got to see, like, him as a young idealist, and because that's the Magneto I like, the ambitious idealist that'll do anything in the name of his cause, and that's definitely what Fassbender brought to the role.
Yeah. And what I like is that he reminded the non-comic book goers that he's a very sympathetic character as well. He's literally seen the evils of man, and in all of its horrible forms, and it's kind of jaded him.
Yeah, it has. I just think the best representation of, like, what Fassbender's performance does for me is that last scene where he's sort of, like, asking people to choose sides on the beach, saying that the humans have played their hand as all the weapons are turned on the mutants. It's just it's an awesome scene.
Yeah.
I want you to all join me. You know, me, the guy who just technically shot his fellow mutant. Join me!
And that's the thing, like, I liked how Fassbender played it off, is that at first he thought his cause of being just, but he still, at the core, he still wanted vengeance, and it kind of just consumed him, and it evolved into, I'm not going to just hate one guy, I'm going to hate a bunch of guys.
I hate all of you.
Yeah.
Even you. You are.
And that was the thing, like, we saw that evolution, he did a great character evolution, and you felt his pain. Like, this, First Class is a very good movie, but I felt like it's a very Magneto-centric film.
It's definitely focused on Professor X and Magneto almost exclusively. Mystique has things to do, but I think those two are definitely the main characters of the piece.
Yeah. And plus, oh, I'm sorry, Duke. I'm sorry. Do you want to say anything?
Nah, you guys are hitting it on the head. I don't want us to take like 5 hours.
Yeah.
I'm okay with sacrificing time if it means it won't be as long.
Yeah, because we want to get to talking to other people after the recording. But anyway.
Yeah.
So this is going to be weird. I think you just gave your number 3 and it ended up being all of ours, Tyler. So what's your number 2?
My number 2 is actually Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin.
That's not my number 2, but we'll talk about him later.
Yeah. He's
same here, cough cough.
Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin is a great pick, and again, I was kind of really torn between him and Alfred Molina.
Yep.
Because they're both great in their own rights, but Willem Dafoe plays such a terrifying Norman Osborn, and he plays the character we know of just... it's kind of like what you said, Duke, about... it's kind of like what you said about Jeff Bridges' Obadiah Stane, that he can play this very soft-spoken and very nice guy, and then in privacy he's this deranged, horrible person.
I love everyone who goes home. Harry, get in here!
Yeah, he gets the nuance of Norman very well, because, like, Norman's definitely the guy that, like, can put up that front, but he barely holds it together, you know? Like, he's always ready to snap at, like, the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And you can always see that behind Defoe's eyes.
Yeah, and I love how...
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays a very... and I love how when we see that moment of him snapping, that's like the moment where you really see him really kick into action of being a kind of... He almost plays it like being a slasher in a horror film.
He does.
Yeah, you're right. Especially in that boardroom scene. Right. He goes from, like, enraged to, like, you know, snidely happy in about, like, 4 seconds.
Yeah. So... God, so I'm going to keep that short because obviously we're going to be talking about him later, so... I guess, what is your number 2 pick, Duke?
My number 2 pick is, let me think my mouse here. I forgot I plugged my thing in here, so I need to do that. Okay. Number 2 is Loki.
Yay!
Played by that one guy who did a video of Cookie Monster. I think there's a reason that there's a bunch of insane teenage girls on the internet who are obsessed over Loki. And it's because he's awesome. Well, that is they're all teenage girls and he's Tom Hiddleston, but still, okay, it's not very often that you can do that sort of lame thing of, I'm in costume at a Comic-Con panel. I would have just looked at that and I was like, that's okay. Like what I did with Andrew Garfield when he did it the same year.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's kind of cool. When Hiddleston did it, I was like, fuck yeah! He's just so much fun in the role. He kind of has the best of everything. He has his sympathetic parts, but then there's just sometimes where you're just like watching him being evil.
Oh, yeah.
Like that scene where I particularly like that scene with him thinking he's like just breaking down Black Widow.
Yes, I love that scene.
I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in because spoiler, Hiddleston's my number 1 for Loki. He's my number 1 movie pick, so I'm just gonna throw this out. But sorry I interrupted, Duke.
If you're hosting, I see no problem with that. You're good.
My thing is with Hiddleston is that, again, like you said, Duke, is that he can play the sympathetic and then just snap right into just being very terrifying. Like you said, that when he's trying to break down Black Widow, and that moment also when he's very terrifying when he's making all those people kneel before him and he's telling them, you know, you people are too out of control to have free will. So this is why I'm here. So yeah, and he plays Loki as a very Shakespearean-esque character, which we've seen in the Walter Simons and stuff, and among other things. And I think that's a cool way of going with Loki, of making him this very Shakespearean-type character.
Can I also mention another joke I like?
Hello?
It's like a really awkward delay.
Okay, there you are, Duke.
Hello?
Hi, Dad.
I got lost in the void of internet problems for a minute there.
Oh, okay, that's what was happening to us.
So
Now
you...
seeing the weird technology, everyone, technology. But yeah, I just like that there's times where he just sort of glows, like also in Avengers where I can't remember where he lands, where's that part where it's like, you will always kneel, and he just takes time to prepare the world for his amazingness. I'm going to destroy you all. You probably are going to like it.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the General Zod, like, arrogance, but at the same time charisma. It's like so over the top.
Almost convinced we should be happy he's doing this. It's like a supervillain version of if a teen pop star comes in.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Like he assumes that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like him, and like I said, like with the character, there's that tragic backstory of he never felt accepted because he he was adopted. He always felt like, oh, you like Thor more because what if I am?
Yeah.
He can't take it anymore and tries to take over. And then he confusingly tries to possess that guy at the end of Thor, and then they get rid of that plot point. So he can have a giant army of aliens. Which every all villain should end their plans that way. Like even Catwoman somehow should have that. And even in that film, but even at no point does he not lose that style that Loki just has. I love it.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm ready. You can go on now.
All right. So, Dan, what is your number one?
My number two.
Oh, my number two. Sorry.
Is Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2. And the reason I like Alfred Molina so much is because, well, physically he looks exactly like Dr. Octopus in that movie. Like, it's on the same level of J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. Like, it looks like Raimi peeled Dr. Octopus off the page and put him in a movie. When you can get an actor that looks that much like the character and also has some acting ability, it's always great to see. I love the way that Molina plays the character with his chops, too. He's just very sympathetic, and in the way that he's motivated by wanting to help people, but even when, before he gets his arms, you can see that he's a little bit too driven and a little bit too arrogant for himself. He thinks a little bit too highly of himself, and that's totally what Dr. Octopus is, even in the comics when he's a crook that just wants money. So they were able to get like the nuances of the comic book character in there and do something new at the same time. And Molina played those layers very well. I could, see what he was doing in trying to play the character in that way, and I really appreciated that because Dr. Octopus is, after all, right up there with Green Goblin as Spider-Man's arguable arch nemesis. So I really like that about it, and once he gets the arms and goes insane, that's just amped up to 11, and you get to see fun, kooky, over the top villainous Dr. Octopus, but you always you have that sympathetic guy in there somewhere, and you can see him struggle with that in some scenes, which is really great to see too. So yeah, I just all around really love his performance in that movie, and Spider-Man 2 wouldn't be as good of a movie at all without him in it.
Yeah. I'm actually really glad you put him in your list because I was torn between Defoe and Molina for both those movies, so yeah. So I've already said my number one. What is your number one, Duke? Duke.
Sorry about that. I had my mute, my mic muted so you could talk.
That's cool.
No, before we go on, can I say if our list were just a number monitor, I'd probably put Molina at number 6.
Oh yeah, I know.
My number one is of course David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. I mean, come on, guys. His performance is so good, it transcends the fact that he's not a villain in that movie. It is one of the greatest things. What's that, Wrigley? I should stop bullshitting them? Okay. My cat just informed me that I should quit screwing around with my audience. Of course, it's Willem Dafoe.
Me too.
So you and me can get this out fast, Ed. It's just... Okay, I have this thing where... Say I want to just spend time and just kind of riff a movie, regardless of what it is, I want to have fun. It's tough to do that with Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin because I don't want to talk. I want to listen and watch. It's so captivating.
It is, and it's such a shame. I was also debating, like Tyler, whether to put Molina or Dafoe at number 1 or number 2 because that costume does such a disservice to Dafoe's performance in that movie. Like, he's much more intimidating, much more scary, much more psychologically stimulating. Like, you can see the conflict of those, like, personas in his head, like, in his eyes in the performance, but then, when he gets under the goblin mask, it's just...
It feels restricted, that's the thing.
Yeah, and I'll agree with that. And this is coming from someone who actually does like that suit.
I don't mind the suit aesthetically.
Aesthetically, but you're right. Honestly, that mask, because the man's so good at acting with his face.
He is.
Yeah, like that moment when, like that obvious picture that that is everywhere in certain videos that Shades does.
Yeah, exactly. And also, this is just to gloat about Defoe for a bit, but he did these 3 short films, and there's one in particular called The Smile Man. It's actually, you guys know that Facebook photo, like for the cover page?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's from when he's freakishly smiling into a mirror. That's what that's from. And though he has to be stuck in that smile, he still somehow manages to give, like, while keeping that smile, show that he's just going through all this stress. And even there's at the end where, he's actually happy with himself. I don't know how he does it, but he somehow manages to beam out the fact that he actually is legitimately smiling, and not just stuck like that.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, he knows how to, he just knows with his face how to generate all of that. Crazy, angry, sort of, in the movie he has "Hi, Peter, I'm happy to see you." It's obviously complete bullshit, of course. I'm pretty sure the man's not happy to see anything. I hate you all, but I'm Defoe. But it's just, I like to just rewind parts of him in that movie. I gotta have a DVD of it finally.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Defoe's the most enjoyable part of the first Spider-Man movie by far. He just outacts everyone whenever he's in a scene and just steals every bit of film he's on. Like, you can't help but watch anything.
Yeah, and you're also scared of what he's gonna do next.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a really unpredictable performance, and that's totally what the Green Goblin should be, because he's just that crazy. And I really love that about it too. It's so interesting. Like, I think the best scene that Norman has in that, acting-wise, is the Thanksgiving scene where Defoe is intimidatingly tasting the food at the table. And
you're not wrong.
Yeah, it's really scary when he's tasting Aunt May's food and everything. There aren't many actors that could pull that.
It's almost like that scene is
off, I think,
It's almost like, this is going to sound really weird, but I kind of wish Defoe was in a Stanley Kubrick movie.
Fantastic.
Because he's one of those actors where you can, and that's the thing with Kubrick, is that he plays a lot of mentality movies or psychological films, obviously with The Shining and Odyssey. So it just would have been, that scene alone, that made me kind of wonder, I wonder what he'd been like, I wonder what Defoe would have been like in a Kubrick movie.
Yeah, Kubrick does a lot of his storytelling visually, and I think Defoe would be a great service to that, since he's such a emotional performer, I suppose. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, Duke. So yeah, I agree. Defoe's by far my favorite Marvel super villain. I mean, I might be a little bit biased because the Green Goblin is also my favorite super villain of all time, and they just happen to perfectly cast him in a movie. But I don't know. I really, really enjoy that performance.
Yeah.
I mean, I like him too, but I'm not the biggest Green Goblin fan on the planet. So I think even the fact that he's my number one, regardless of that, also speaks something. I think he's just that damn good.
Yeah.
So that we finally got Marvel.
Yeah. So now that we got Marvel out of the way, give me 1 second, and we will switch over to the DC universe.